Welcome to The Abundance Journey, the show that helps spiritual entrepreneurs create an abundance mindset that accelerates revenue. Here's your host, the Abundance Ambassador, Elaine Starling.
Welcome to The Abundance Journey. This is where we don't just talk about abundance, we actually embody it. We activate it. We live it. Now, if you've been journaling with me through the spiral of divine abundance, then you already know that we began this sacred path with the first step, which is remembrance. That's what we talked about in episode 165. It's that moment of truth when you remember who you are beyond the noise. It's beyond the job title. It's beyond the roles that you play in life and the little boxes that the world tries to stuff you into. Well, today we're going to talk about the second phase. And trust me, this one holds a ton of power. Today we're diving into reclaiming. This is the sacred act of coming home to the parts of yourself that you once gave away, or maybe you never even realized that you had them. But before we dive deep, let's start the way we always do. Let's align our frequency. Let's open our field, unite our energy, and invite the divine to co-create with us. We're going to use two techniques to do that so that you quickly experience a transformation. The first thing we do is take 3 long, slow, deep breaths together. And as we breathe in through the nose, think the words, I am. As we breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. I'll remind you when we get to that part. Now, after the 3 breaths, I'll share our intention. I'm pointing at my heart. I always do. Our intention is what we choose to create together and how we choose to feel about it. Think of it as like the address that you type into a spiritual GPS. We're going to hold that intention in silence for 78 seconds in order to give the divine enough time to really lock in on that new higher vibration. Now, I've got 2 techniques I use that help me hold that high vibration for 78 seconds. First, I'll pick 2 or 3 words out of the intention that just feel expansive and uplifting and empowering to me. And I repeat those 2 or 3 words over and over again in my mind during the 78 seconds. And then I pay attention to what's happening in my body. Sometimes I'll feel a rush of heat or goosebumps, or I'll get an image download. Anything like that is just a sign that the divine is ready to play with us. All right, let's get started. Let's breathe together 3 times. 3 deep breaths. Breathe in through the nose. I am. Breathe out through the mouth. Consciousness. Breathe in. I am. Breathe out. Consciousness. Breathe in. I am. Breathe out. Consciousness. In love and light, we hold the intention that we confidently and joyfully reclaim every aspect of our beings so we experience richly fulfilling and prosperous lives. Thank you, Divine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. We give thanks, and so it is. Wow, that was really cool. I know this is a very important topic, and I just felt all this energy flooding into my body as everything returns, as I reclaim who I truly am, that divine within, and honor that in how I interact and engage with the world. It was just all flowing in. So beautiful. Now, before we go any further, I want to pause and offer a little bit deeper context, especially if you're joining this series for the very first time, or if the idea of the spiral of divine abundance is something that's totally new to you. See, most of our lives, we're taught to think of growth as like a straight line, right? You start at point A, you grind your way to point B, and then maybe you'll maybe jig it all the way to point C, but who knows? The idea is that we're told progress is linear. Here's the thing, that's not true for your soul. Your soul does not grow in straight lines. Your spirit isn't like a staircase. So I want you to imagine something with me. A sine wave, that rhythmic motion of a wave that rises and falls. Well, if you look at it in two dimensions, it seems really simple, right? It's just up and down. There's a high, there's a low. It's a line that never quite rests. But let's take that sine wave and pull it into a three-dimensional space. So as it flows forward, it starts to spiral upward and outward like a helix, like a DNA, like your soul. See, life isn't just about repeating patterns. It's about elevating through the patterns. Okay? You end up revisiting old lessons, but from higher and new levels of consciousness. So it's a sine wave that spirals, just like nature, just like galaxies, just like DNA. Life itself is built in spirals, sacred, infinite, unfolding. And that is the foundation of the spiral of divine abundance. Each phase of the spiral starts with remembering, second is reclaiming, third is reimagining, and fourth is radiating. Each one of those phases, it's not a destination, it's an initiation, it's a return, it's a deepening. So you revisit each phase again and again, but never at the exact same place. You circle back, but now you carry more wisdom. You have more clarity, more wholeness. That's the spiral of divine abundance. It honors your truth that your growth isn't linear, it's living. Your growth breathes, it contracts and expands. It spirals in perfect harmony with the divine. And really, the best part of all of this is that you're never going backwards. Even when you feel like you're stuck or you might be circling the same issue, you're not really. You're actually seeing it from a new frequency. And that's what this work is really about. Each pass through the spiral helps you refine and deepen and embody your divine truth even more. Your spiral is sacred. So let's keep rising together, because this next phase of the spiral, reclaiming, it's not just a concept that I teach. This is a chapter in my life that I lived. The moment of remembrance, phase one, for me, that wasn't gradual. That was really kind of jarring, beautiful, amazing, and it totally freaked me out. I had a stroke, and during the stroke, I had a conversation with the divine. And in that suspended moment, the veil dropped. All of a sudden, I was not separate from the divine anymore. I clearly saw the divine within me, that pure consciousness, that infinite love, the limitless being. It wasn't a thought, it wasn't an idea. It was an inner knowing, that deepest, most sacred remembering of who I've always been. But here's the part nobody ever tells you. That remembrance thing, that might happen to you really fast, to bolt out of the blue the way it did for me. Reclaiming, on the other hand, that phase is more of a process. Because when I came back into my body, zero damage from my stroke, back into my daily life, I didn't walk into total understanding. I actually walked into a world full of self doubt. I remember thinking, it feels like I just swallowed Google whole. How in the world am I supposed to talk about this stuff? Who's going to believe me? Conversation with the divine? Seriously? It's not like I'm some spiritual guru. Who's going to care what I have to say? I knew the message was true. I absolutely knew it with every single fiber of my being. But I was really freaked out and worried about whether I was qualified to deliver it. I didn't feel like some spiritual leader. I felt like an accidental initiate, a total beginner. And that inner voice, the one I'm talking about, that judgmental, pain in the butt voice, it was constantly saying things like, well, who's going to take you seriously? So I did what a lot of people do. I got quiet. I tucked my truth into my journal. I started questioning every single divine download that came through, even though they brought me extraordinary peace and clarity. I was just way too nervous to share them. I really wanted the message to be clean and concrete, like a business plan or a measurable outcome, because I felt like if I can't prove it, I can't deliver the pen, well, surely I shouldn't share it. But the divine had other plans. And I remember the moment all of that shifted. I was sitting in meditation, asking for guidance again, and this clear, potent message dropped in like a lightning bolt. It felt like the divine was holding my face, really wanting me to understand this and concerned that I wasn't going to get it. They said, darling, life isn't really about you. Life happens through you. It's about how you show up. And something about that just really struck a chord with me. It completely rewired me. And I had this realization that I hadn't really been showing up, because until that point, I kept thinking I had to be totally certain. I had to be the expert. I had to be flawless. It had to be branded. But the divine was showing me that the message wasn't really mine to own. It was mine to deliver. That's totally different. And furthermore, if I stayed silent, if I kept trying to package myself into somebody else's idea of what that looked like, I was just holding back everything they'd been given, not just for me, but for all of us. That's what this reclaiming journey looked like for me. It wasn't a stage or a spotlight. I was sitting in my kitchen, whispering affirmations. It was looking in the mirror and saying, you know what? I choose to trust what I know, even when I can't explain it perfectly. It was letting myself be visible even when I felt vulnerable. It was owning my voice, even when I teared up. And I do that a lot because the divine flows through me, and the level of joy that I experience in that moment is so intense, it makes my voice wobble and it makes me tear up. I got to a space of honoring my value, even if I didn't have a case study or some kind of guaranteed outcome that could prove it. I stopped looking outside for strategy. I started looking inside for alignment. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment of crystal clarity where you just felt like, this isn't working for me anymore? And it's not because life is bad. It's because you're at a space where you've outgrown what you've always known. It could be a relationship that was no longer a good fit. It might be a business that no longer fed your soul. It could be an identity that you worked really hard to build, but it got to a point where it wasn't relevant for you anymore. That moment, that soul deep ache, that's telling you there's something more, that's reclaiming, knocking on your door. Reclaiming is not a rebellion of everything you are. It's a return to who you truly are. It's a return to the time, the voice, the energy, the truth, the essence of you that you gave away just to survive. But now you've reached a point where you're ready to take it all back sacredly, sovereignly, soulfully. So, what do I mean by reclaiming? It's not starting over, it's not fixing something that's broken. Reclaiming is just choosing you again and again and again. It's embodying what you remembered in the last phase. You embody that in real life, in hard conversations, in quiet moments, in bold decisions. You remembered that you are whole. Now you reclaim the parts of yourself that you forgot. There are 5 key things we tend to give away that deny the truth of who we are. The first thing we typically give away is our voice. You give your voice away every time you stay silent to keep the peace, or you rehearse what others want to hear instead of speaking your own truth. Maybe it's watering yourself down in rooms that can't hold your fullness. You own your voice when you speak clearly, even when your voice shakes. You trust your lived experience. You express what is real for you without apology, trusting that your truth has power and purpose. Voice isn't just speaking up, it's knowing what you sound like when you're not performing. Think about it. When was the last time you said something and you thought, yeah, that's the real me? That's your voice. It's time to own it. It's time to reclaim it. The second thing we tend to give away is our value. You give your value away when you overgive or you undercharge. It's when you define your worth based on other people's opinions, likes, or applause. It's when you second guess your decisions and apologize for taking up space. But you can own your value when you honor your time, your talents, and your impact. You receive with grace. You know that your value is intrinsic, not transactional, and you act accordingly. Value isn't just about what you offer. It's knowing that your presence is the offering. When was the last time that you received without guilt, without shrinking, and thought, yeah, I'm worthy of this exactly as I am right now? Accepting compliments can be kind of challenging sometimes, right? It's time to own your value. The third thing we typically give away is our visibility. You give your visibility away when you hide behind your role or your title. You dim your light to fit in. You stay small so that other people can feel comfortable. But you own your visibility when you let yourself be seen fully. You show up with presence and confidence, knowing that you're here to be witnessed, not hidden. Your presence is powerful. Visibility isn't about being seen by everyone. It's about being seen by yourself without filters or disguises. When was the last time you showed up unmasked, unedited, and thought, yeah, that's who I really am. I am being my true, authentic self in this moment. It's time to own your visibility. The fourth thing we give away is our vision. You give your vision away when you follow somebody else's map, when you wait for permission, when you downplay your dreams so that they feel more realistic to somebody else. You own your vision when you cast bold intentions, when you move with divine conviction, when you trust your desires as sacred directions and you follow where they lead. Vision is not about having a perfect plan, having everything mapped out to the nth degree. It's about daring to name the dream that's been whispering in your soul for years. So, when was the last time that you actually let your desire speak and thought, yeah, that's what I really want? That's what I want to express and experience in my life. It's time to reclaim your vision. The fifth thing, and in many ways, maybe the most important one, is our vibration. You give your vibration away when you're living in reaction mode. You're absorbing everybody else's energy. So you let all of their fear, their feelings of scarcity, their self-doubt set your frequency. You're busy vibrating in alignment with everybody around you instead of honoring your own vibration. You own your vibration when you protect your peace, when you choose thoughts that lift you and align you. You intentionally tune into the frequency of joy, trust, and divine abundance. Gratitude is your go-to. Vibration isn't just a mood or a mindset. It's the frequency you choose to live by, even when life gets loud. So, when was the last time that you felt completely at peace, centered, and grounded in your body? And you thought, yes, this is me in alignment. It's time to reclaim your vibration. When you reclaim who you are, you stop people pleasing. You stop shrinking. You stop betraying yourself in order to belong. And you start building a life that reflects your soul. Now, here's what most people don't talk about. Reclaiming is electric. Yeah, it's liberating. It's empowering. It's so clarifying. And it can be really unnerving because you're standing with one foot in two totally different worlds. The old world is where safety meant performing, shrinking, or pleasing. And this new world where your soul is asking you to stay present, take up space, and be unapologetically real. This is what I call sacred dissonance. It's the emotional friction that happens when your inner world starts to expand, but your outer world hasn't really caught up with that yet. You've had the insight, you know who you are. You feel a calling to live in a more aligned way. And at the same time, you're still surrounded by all the old expectations, the old roles, the dynamics, the relationships that were built around that older version of you. So you start to say no, and you kind of feel guilty. You try to stop people pleasing, and your heart is racing with fear. Are they still going to love me? Are they going to stay? You speak your truth, and your old patterns are screaming in your head, this isn't safe. Be quiet. Go back. That is not a weakness, okay? That's just your nervous system trying to protect you. See, your body has been conditioned, maybe even for decades, to equate belonging with self-abandonment, to equate love with compliance, to equate survival with silence. So when you start reclaiming your power, your time, your boundaries, your truth, doesn't always feel exactly like freedom at first. It can feel a lot more like fear or grief or confusion, like you're walking out into the open without your armor. But what I really want you to hear is that this tension is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's actually a sign that you're doing it right, because reclaiming is stretching all of those old beliefs that once said you have to earn your truth. You can't be upset with anyone. You can't upset anybody else. Don't be too much. Stay small, stay safe. And yet, every time you stretch, your nervous system is automatically being rewired. You're teaching that nervous system a brand new truth that you can be safe and fully expressed, that you can be loved and have boundaries, that you do not have to abandon yourself to belong. So if your voice shakes a little bit when you speak up, keep speaking. If you're uncomfortable setting limits, set them anyway with love and compassion and caring. If your body tenses when you take up space, breathe through it. You're repatterning safety into every single cell of your being. This is holy work. This is reclaiming. And no, it's not always easy, but it is always worth it. Because ultimately, you feel safe in your own power. You no longer treat your time, your truth, your energy like they're luxuries. These become non-negotiables, sacred, anchoring, guiding. And then what happens? Your outer life starts to rearrange itself to reflect the truth of your inner life. You start to witness the energetic markers of alignment, synchronicities, the right place, the right time, the right conversation, serendipities, perfect clients, opportunities, ideas, everything just landing in your lap. Signs, repeating numbers, symbols, messages from the universe that feel like little divine winks. Stillness, an internal peace that doesn't depend on your circumstances. Deep rest, like your nervous system finally kicked off its shoes and took a big, deep breath. Magnetic pull. People are drawn to you, not because of what you're doing, but because of who you are being. That's what happens when your frequency is anchored. When you shift out of fear and into love, out of performance and into presence, you're not reacting to life anymore. You are creating life from alignment. And it feels like spaciousness, like truth, like overflow, like connection, like freedom. Reclaiming works because it doesn't just change what you do. It changes who you are while you're doing it. So if life starts to feel more graceful, more guided, more grounded, if you're waking up with a clearer intention, if you're noticing that the right people are arriving just exactly when you need them, if you're no longer questioning whether you're enough, that's not random. It's not luck. That's reclaiming in motion. It's the sacred alignment of who you are with how you live and what you attract. Because the moment you stop negotiating your worth is the moment the universe stops negotiating just how much abundance it sends your way. That's real abundance. The kind that doesn't just fill your hands, it floods your soul. So let's make this really tangible. Here's a 5-step practice that I call the reclaiming ritual. This is a soul-aligned way to live this phase with intention and grace. This is not a one and done. You'll be doing this a few times. Step 1, name what you gave away. Journaling is really big here. So take a moment to journal about which parts of yourself did you give away to survive? Did you give away your voice, your time, your dreams, your desires, your boundaries. Naming is reclaiming. Step 2, choose one to call back. Pick one, just one. It might be, I reclaim my mornings, or I reclaim my right to say no. Make it small, clear, sacred. Step 3, create a reclaiming statement. Speak it out loud. Write it on your mirror and use your voice. I love Marissa Peer. She's brilliant. She's got rapid transformation therapy, and she does a whole program about I am enough. And Marissa Peer says you write I am enough on your bathroom mirror and say it out loud every single day. That practice embeds a deep inner knowing in your body, rewiring your nervous system that changes everything. And you can make it physical by adding movement to your day. Declare that truth with your hand on your heart so you feel the movement of your voice and your breath through your body as you hold your heart in deep love and appreciation for honoring your truth, honoring who you are. Step 4, set a boundary or take a sacred action. Now, this is where reclaiming gets real. You want to compassionately speak your truth. Do something that's just for you, something that inspires you or uplifts you. And step 5 is to celebrate your return, because you didn't just reclaim your voice. As you do these steps, you reclaim your vibration. So celebrate it, embody it, be witnessed in it. Now, if you take absolutely nothing else from today, I want you to take this. Reclaiming is not selfish. Reclaiming is sacred. You are not too much. You're just no longer willing to shrink. And the guilt you feel, that's not truth. It's just an echo of old programming. Power is not force. Power is remembering your right to take up space by honoring your true self. You were never meant to fit in to some tiny little box that somebody else defined. You were meant to stand rooted in your sacred truth. And every single no that you offer the world becomes a much deeper yes to yourself. So keep reclaiming, keep rising, keep returning, because the next step in the spiral of divine abundance is coming. And it's going to ask you to get even more honest, even more devoted, even more you. And you, my love, my beloved, you are ready for it. It's your time. It's time to reclaim the truth of who you are and start living it. Stick around. We're going to activate abundance in just a minute. Wow, I am so thrilled to be chatting about reclaiming with you, because this is such a powerful phase of expanding who you are. This is where the rubber meets the road, really. So step 1 is gratitude. I'm so grateful that you are sharing this experience with me and that you're honoring who you are. You're honoring the truth of who you are. Step 2 is to appreciate something that's a little aha for you. And one of the things that really stood out for me is this idea that it is not a one and done, that our growth is a spiral. It's a sine wave on a spiral. It's a three-dimensional DNA that's continually growing and learning, and we come back to a similar spot, but from a different perspective, a different altitude, a different insight, a different level of consciousness, a different way of being. And so while we may be feeling like we're treading similar ground, we get to experience it in a whole new way. Step 3 is appreciate the difference it can make in your life. Well, as soon as I feel like it's Groundhog Day and here we are again, I can go, wait a minute, That's not necessarily true because I'm experiencing this at a higher level. And since I choose to always come from higher and higher levels of consciousness, I'm going to ask better questions. I'm going to ask high consciousness questions that help me understand what's going on. One of the things that's super important to me is to get a handle on what I'm actually saying, because I don't always realize the words that are coming out of my mouth. So I like to write them down. And once I write down what I'm saying, even just record myself and then transcribe it so I can see what I'm saying, then I have a better idea of what's going on. And I can shift my consciousness and ask better questions. So being aware that every time you loop back, you're in a different spot, you're in a higher spot, it gives you that momentum, that incentive to reach for a higher level of consciousness and better questions, different approach, new insights to get out of the same old space in a better, fresher way where you own more of who you are. It invites you to show up as the fullness of who you are. Step 4 is to activate it. There are 3 different ways we do that. The first way is schedule time to get it done and journaling. This is where journaling my thoughts really makes a difference because sometimes I don't even know what's going on through my head. There's just all this gobbledygook. And when I write it out, I get an objective perspective on what's happening. And then I can start to ask different questions. I collaborate with the divine and I get new insights, new downloads that really help me move things along while I own the totality of who I am. So that's one way to activate abundance. Schedule time to get it done. Journaling counts as that. Another way is to create a physical trigger, like crossing your fingers or tugging on your earlobe, standing in the Wonder Woman pose. Those things are super powerful because it reminds you of the power that you hold, that you are continually coming at a similar experience from a new level of consciousness. And as soon as you remember that, you respond in a different way. You start to own your voice. You're willing to be visible. You're willing to honor your own vibration. All of those things that we just talked about. So use those physical triggers as a reminder to yourself, I've got this. I'm bringing all of who I am to this experience. It's beautiful. The third way to activate abundance is with an abundance buddy. This is somebody who really gets you and knows you and loves you. They understand what you are choosing to accomplish. And you let them know every time I come to something that I've experienced in the past, I'm making a deliberate choice to approach it from a higher level of consciousness, making sure that I'm reclaiming all parts of myself in the process. So if you see me slacking off somewhere where I'm not owning the totality of who I am, please point that out to me so that I can own my voice. I can own my vision. I can own my vibration. That is really, really important to me. That will make a big difference because somebody else can often see where you're going back into old patterns that you don't want to use anymore. They can help elevate you as you help elevate them. Step 5, celebrate your progress. Isn't it wonderful to understand there's absolutely nothing wrong with you? In fact, you are so much more powerful than you ever realized. And when you're willing to bring the totality of your divine essence into every single situation, every single experience that you have, the doors are wide open. The divine is eager to collaborate with you. You are showered with abundance of all kinds beyond imagining. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for the Abundance Journey.
You've been listening to the Abundance Journey Show with Elaine Starling. Visit theabundancejourney.com/podcast gifts to access today's gift, as well as gifts from our other guests. Tune in every week to activate abundance in your life and business. If something resonated with you, please share it with your friends so they can benefit too. Keep activating abundance, and we'll see you in the next episode.